The morning sun peeked over the tall buildings of New Seoul. Captain Jum Kim looked out the window of his small apartment. The city stretched for miles, all glass and metal. No wild places left. Not really. Jum sighed and picked up his grandfather's old hunting knife. The blade was still sharp after all these years. He ran his finger along the edge, careful not to cut himself. Time to honor the old ways, he said to himself. The year was 2157. Humans had changed. They were smarter now, but weaker. Most people spent their days indoors. Their muscles were soft. Their eyes were used to screens, not tracking animals through forests. Jun was different. He led the Historical Recreation Society, a small group that tried to keep old human skills alive. Today was special. Today they would attempt a real hunt, using only the tools their ancestors had used thousands of years ago. His comm unit beeped. Hey Yun was calling. I still think this is stupid, she said when her face appeared on the screen. Hey Yun Lee was the group's xenobiologist. She studied alien life forms but had little interest in Earth's past. Good morning to you too, Jum said with a smile. Seriously, June, we could get in trouble. Most hunting is illegal now. We have permits. Everything is approved. June packed his bag as they talked. Besides, we're only hunting in the designated zone. Heyun rolled her eyes. Fine. But I'm bringing my med kit. When someone gets hurt, don't expect me to be surprised. The call ended. June knew Heyun would come despite her complaints. She always did. 2 hours later, Jun stood at the edge of the forest preserve with his team. There were 4 of them total. Heyun was checking her equipment with a frown on her face. Ta Park, their historian, was practically bouncing with excitement. And Sung Ho Kang, their tech specialist, was fiddling with a small drone. No drones, Jum said, taking it from Sung Ho's hands. Today we use only what our ancestors had. Sung Ho looked like someone had taken his favorite toy. In many ways, that's exactly what June had done. But how will we track anything without sensors? Sung Ho asked. Ta stepped forward. His eyes were bright with enthusiasm. That's the point. Our ancestors used their eyes, ears, and knowledge of animal behavior. And they were built differently, Heyun added. Stronger, faster. We've evolved for brains, not brawn. Jun handed out the weapons he had spent months making by hand. Wooden spears with stone tips, bows made of flexible wood with sinew strings, arrows with flint heads. These look like toys, Sung Ho said, turning a spear in his hands. They were deadly weapons once, Jun replied. Humans brought down mammoths with spears like these. The team moved into the forest. They walked silently, trying to remember all the things Jun had taught them about moving without making noise. It wasn't easy. They stepped on twigs. They breathed too loudly. They talked when they should have been listening. Jun didn't mind. This was about learning, about connecting with who they once were. An hour later, they found fresh tracks. A deer had passed through recently. Remember, Jun whispered, we are not just observers today. We are hunters, like our ancestors were. This is in our blood. Heyun gave him a skeptical look. Our blood has changed a lot since then. Maybe, Jun admitted. But I believe those old instincts are still inside us somewhere. As they followed the tracks deeper into the forest, none of them noticed the small metallic object hovering high above the trees, and they certainly didn't notice when it sent a signal to a ship far beyond Earth's atmosphere. The hunt had begun, but it wasn't just the deer being watched. The deer was fast, but Jun and his team were patient. They followed its tracks for 2 more hours. Ta was excited every time they found a footprint or broken twig. Sung Ho complained about the bugs. Heyun stayed quiet, watching everything with careful eyes. Stop, Jun whispered suddenly. He pointed ahead. There, in a small clearing, the deer was drinking from a stream. It was a beautiful animal with brown fur and small antlers. The sun made spots of light dance on its back through the leaves. "Now what?" Sung-ho whispered too loudly. The deer's head shot up. Its ears turned toward them. It was ready to run. "Now," Jun said. Tai and Jun raised their bows. The arrows flew through the air. Both missed, but not by much. The deer jumped and ran away into the trees. "That was close," Ta said, not looking upset at all. "Did you see how we almost got it?" Hae-yun shook her head. "Almost doesn't fill your stomach." June was about to reply when a strange sound filled the air. It was like metal scraping against metal, but softer. The trees around them began to bend as if pushed by a strong wind. But there was no wind. "What is that?" Sung-ho asked, fear in his voice. Above them, the air seemed to ripple. Then something appeared. It was like nothing they had ever seen. A ship, but not like Earth ships. It was round and flat, about the size of a small house. It hovered above the clearing without making much noise. "Is this part of the recreation?" Hae-yun asked, her eyes wide. Jun shook his head. His mouth was dry. "No, this is something else." A bright light came from the bottom of the ship. It formed a circle on the ground. Then a figure appeared in the light. It floated down slowly until its feet touched the ground. The figure was tall, at least 7 feet. It had red skin that looked hard like armor. Its head was large with small black eyes. It had 4 arms, each ending in hands with 3 fingers. "Greetings, hunters of Earth," the figure said. Its voice was deep but clear. No one spoke. They were too shocked. "I am Commander Grak of the Moktal Empire," the figure continued. "We have been watching your world for some time." Jun found his voice. "Why are you here?" Commander Grak made a motion with his upper arms that might have been a shrug. "Curiosity. Assessment. Your world is unusual." "How?" Tai asked, his historian's curiosity overcoming his fear. "Most species we encounter have one path. They either stay primitive with simple weapons, or they advance and forget the old ways. You humans are doing both." "Interesting." Grak pointed at their bows and spears. "These are ancient weapons, yes, yet you come from a city with advanced technology. Why do you hunt like your ancestors?" Jun stepped forward. He tried to look brave. "We honor our past. We remember who we were." This seemed to please Grak. His mouth, which was a straight line, curved slightly at the edges. "Good. Very good. The Moktal also honor the old ways of hunting." Grak looked at each of them, studying their faces. "We would like to invite you to our vessel. A cultural exchange between hunters." "We're not really hunters," Hae-yun said quickly. "This is just recreation. Yet you track, you stalk, you shoot to kill." Grak's black eyes seemed to shine. "Whether you succeed or not is less important than your attempt to connect with your predator nature." Jun looked at his team. Tai was nodding eagerly. Sung-ho looked terrified. Hae-yun was frowning, which meant she was thinking hard. "We accept your invitation," Jun said finally. Grak made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Excellent. Come, hunters of Earth. Let us share stories of the chase." The light from the ship grew brighter, surrounding them all. As they began to float upward, Jun couldn't help but wonder if this was the biggest mistake he had ever made. The inside of the Moktal ship was warm and had a red glow. The walls looked like metal, but felt soft when Jun touched them. The air smelled strange, like a mix of burnt wood and something sweet. "This way," Commander Grak said, leading them down a wide hallway. More Moktal aliens appeared. They were all tall with red skin and 4 arms. They looked at the humans with curious black eyes. Some made clicking sounds to each other. They'd never seen humans before. Tai asked, waving at a young-looking Moktal who quickly moved away. "Not up close," Grak answered. "We have studied your kind from a distance for many years." Hae-yun stayed close to Jun. "Why study us?" she asked. "What makes Earth special?" Grak stopped at a large door. You will understand soon, he said. The door opened into a round room. The walls showed moving pictures of different planets and stars. In the center was a table with strange food and drinks. Please, sit, Grak said, pointing to seats around the table. The team sat down nervously. Sung-ho kept looking at the technology around the room. His fingers twitched like he wanted to touch everything. The Moktal Empire spans 57 worlds, Grak said proudly. He touched something on the table, and a map of stars appeared in the air above them. We are warriors and hunters. We value strength and skill. And what do you want with Earth? Jun asked directly. Grak's mouth made that curved shape again. Honest. Good. We like direct questions. He sat down across from them. We have conquered many worlds. Some fight back. Most surrender quickly. The humans looked at each other with worry. But your world is special, Grak continued. We have watched you for centuries. Most species either stay primitive or become weak as they advance. Humans are different. Different how? Tai asked, leaning forward with interest. Another Moktal entered the room. This one wore gold armor instead of red. Grak stood up quickly, showing respect. This is War Chief Dorn, Grak said. Our leader. War Chief Dorn looked at each human carefully. So these are the ones who hunt with ancient weapons, he said. His voice was even deeper than Grak's. Yes, War Chief, Grak answered. They honor the old ways as we do. Dorn nodded and sat at the head of the table. The Moktal Empire needs allies, not just subjects, he said. We grow bored with easy victories. We seek equals. Heian frowned. You want us to help you conquer other worlds. We won't do that. No, Dorn said. We want to test you, to see if humans are worthy of respect rather than conquest. Jun felt cold despite the warm room. Test us how? Dorn pushed a container toward them. Inside was a clear liquid that glowed slightly blue. First, a simple test. Share our ceremonial drink. Then, prove your hunting skills on our sacred moon. And if we pass your tests, Jun asked. Earth becomes an honored ally, protected by the Moktal Empire, Dorn said. If you fail, he didn't finish the sentence. And if we refuse to take your tests? Heian asked. Dorn's black eyes seemed to grow darker. Then we know your answer already. Tae touched Jun's arm. This could be a chance, he whispered. A chance to save Earth through cultural exchange. Or a trap, Heian whispered back. Sung-ho looked terrified. I just wanted to go hunting, he said quietly. Jun took a deep breath. The fate of Earth seemed to rest on his next words. He thought of his grandfather, of all his ancestors who had faced dangers with courage. We accept your challenge, Jun said firmly. Dorn looked pleased. Excellent. The testing begins now. He poured the blue liquid into small cups. First, we drink together as hunters. Then, we hunt. As the cups were passed around, Jun hoped he had made the right choice. The blue liquid smelled strong, like nothing he had ever encountered before. To the hunt, Dorn said, raising his cup. The humans raised their cups, not knowing what would happen next. Jun lifted the small cup to his lips. The blue liquid smelled like strong alcohol, mixed with something metallic. He looked at his team. They all held similar cups, waiting for his lead. Together, Jun said. They all drank at the same time. The liquid burned Jun's throat like fire. It tasted bitter and sweet at once. His eyes watered and his stomach felt hot. Tae coughed violently. His face turned red. What is this stuff? He gasped. War Chief Dorn laughed. The sound was like rocks falling down a hill. It is Krovel, our warrior drink. For us, it is mild. For your kind. He shrugged his forearms. Sung-ho's eyes rolled back. He slid from his chair and fell to the floor with a thud. Sung-ho. Heian knelt beside him. She checked his pulse. He's alive, just unconscious. The Moktal warriors all laughed now. They pointed at Sung Ho with their three-fingered hands. "One sip and he falls," one warrior said. "Is this the proud hunting species of Earth?" June felt anger rise in his chest. It mixed with the burning of the alien drink. His head was spinning, but he stayed upright. "More," he demanded, pushing his cup toward Dorn. The war chief's black eyes widened. "Brave but foolish," he said, filling June's cup again. June drank the second cup without hesitation. This time the burning was worse. His vision blurred. The room seemed to tilt to one side. "I too will have another," Ta said, though his voice was slurred. He was trying to look strong, but his body swayed like a tree in wind. Hei-Yun stood up. "Stop this," she said to the aliens. "Our bodies aren't made for your drink. This isn't a fair test." Dorn looked at her with new interest. The female speaks truth while the males try to prove strength they do not have. He nodded. "There is wisdom in knowing your limits." Grak pointed at Hei-Yun. "Why are you not affected like the others?" All eyes turned to Hei-Yun. She stood steady while Jum and Tai could barely sit straight. Sung Ho was still on the floor. Hei-Yun smiled. She pulled back her sleeve to show a small patch on her arm. "Xenobiologist," she said. "I always wear enzyme patches when dealing with unknown substances. It neutralizes most toxins." There was silence for a moment. Then War Chief Dorn began to laugh again, but differently this time. It wasn't mockery but genuine amusement. "Clever," he roared. "The hunters of old did not just rely on strength, but on wits." The other Moktal nodded in agreement. They looked at Hei-Yun with new respect. Jung tried to stand, but his legs wouldn't work right. "Does this mean we pass?" he asked, his words running together. "The drinking test?" "No," Dorn said bluntly. "You have failed miserably at holding your drink." Ta groaned and put his head down on the table. "But," Dorn continued, "the female has shown intelligence. That earns you the right to continue to the next challenge." Hei-Yun helped June stay upright. "What exactly is the next challenge?" she asked. Dorn's mouth curved into that strange smile. "The hunt, of course, on our sacred moon, with your primitive weapons." Grak looked concerned. "War Chief, they can barely stand. How will they hunt?" "They have 6 Earth hours to recover," Dorn replied. "Then we hunt." Hei-Yun looked at her team. Sung Ho unconscious on the floor, Ta with his head on the table, and Jun barely able to stay on his feet. 6 hours isn't enough," she protested. "Then Earth's fate is already decided," Dorn said coldly. Jun forced himself to focus. The room was spinning, but Earth's future was at stake. "We'll be ready," he said, though his voice was weak. Dorn stood. "Good. Rest now, hunters of Earth. You will need your strength." He looked at Hei-Yun. "And your wits." As the Moktal left the room, Hei-Yun wondered how she was going to get 3 drunk humans ready to hunt in just 6 hours, and what exactly they would be hunting. 6 hours passed quickly. Hei-Yun used every trick she knew to help her team recover. She gave them water, medicine from her kit, and even a few slaps to the face when nothing else worked. By the time Commander Grak returned, they were at least standing on their own feet. "You look better," Grak said, though his tone suggested otherwise. Jun's head still hurt, but he tried to look strong. "We're ready." Sung Ho was pale, and his hands shook slightly. Ta kept blinking too much, but they were awake and alert enough to walk. "Follow me," Grak ordered. "War Chief Dorn awaits on the transport ship." They walked through more red-lit hallways until they reached a smaller ship. Inside, War Chief Dorn and 5 other Moktal warriors were already seated. They wore light armor and carried strange weapons that looked like spears but with glowing tips. The humans survived their first test. Dorn announced to his warriors, "Now we see if they can hunt." The small ship rumbled and then lifted off. Through a window, Jun saw Earth getting smaller. The blue planet looked peaceful from space. "Where exactly are we going?" Tai asked, his historian's curiosity returning. Our sacred hunting moon, Grak explained. We call it Kragtor. Many creatures from across the galaxy live there. We hunt them to prove our worth. Heyun frowned. What will we be hunting? Dorn's black eyes gleamed. You will choose your prey, he said. Different creatures offer different levels of challenge and honor. The journey took about an hour. When they landed, the door opened to reveal a strange world. The sky was purple. The plants were tall with blue leaves. 2 small suns hung in the sky, making everything cast double shadows. The air was thick but breathable. It smelled like wet soil after rain. The ground was soft under their feet. Dorn led them to a clearing where many weapons were displayed on racks. Your primitive weapons have been brought here, he said, pointing to their bows and spears. You may use them, and nothing else. Jun picked up his bow. It felt good in his hands, familiar. Now, choose your prey, Dorn said. He touched a device on his arm, and images appeared in the air. The images showed different creatures. One was huge with 6 legs and sharp teeth. Another looked like a bird, but with 4 wings and a long tail. A third had armor plates covering its body. Then Jun saw a small creature that looked almost like an earth rabbit. It had long ears and soft-looking fur. It seemed to be the least threatening of all the options. That one, Jun said, pointing to the rabbit-like animal. We will hunt that. The Moktal warriors looked at each other. Some made that clicking sound again. Dorn's mouth curved in that strange smile. You choose the Vexlar? Dorn asked, sounding surprised. Interesting choice. It looks manageable, Jun said. He was thinking of their limited skills and still foggy heads. Grak leaned close to Jun. The Vexlar is not what it appears, he said quietly. It is one of the deadliest creatures here. What? Jun whispered back. But it looks like a rabbit. Many prey use deception, Grak said. The Vexlar has evolved to look harmless. That is why it is such an effective predator. Jun's stomach dropped. He looked at his team. They had heard nothing of this conversation. Ta was examining the strange plants nearby. Sungho was checking his bowstring. Heyun was watching the Moktal warriors with suspicious eyes. Can we choose again? Jun asked Grak. A hunter cannot take back his choice, Dorn announced loudly. The Vexlar is your prey. May your hunt bring honor to your species. Dorn pointed to a path leading into a forest of blue trees. The Vexlar was released there 1 hour ago. You have until the second sun sets to kill it and return with proof. If you fail, he left the threat unspoken. Jun gathered his team. Let's go, he said, trying to sound confident. He didn't tell them what Grak had said about the Vexlar. They were nervous enough already. As they walked into the blue forest, Jun wondered if they would ever see Earth again. The blue forest was strange and beautiful. The trees grew close together, their branches making patterns against the purple sky. Small flying creatures darted between the leaves. Sounds came from all directions, clicks, whistles, and low rumbles. Stay close, Jun said to his team. He held his bow ready, an arrow loosely nocked. They had been walking for an hour, following what they thought were tracks of the Vexlar. Small paw prints in the soft dirt, broken twigs, tufts of white fur caught on plants. This is too easy, Heyun said suddenly. The tracks are too clear. Jun nodded. He had been thinking the same thing. It might be a trap. What do you mean, a trap? Sungho asked, looking around nervously. It's just a rabbit thing, right? Jun sighed. It was time to tell them. Grak told me the Vexlar is not what it seems. It's actually one of the deadliest predators here. What? Ta's eyes widened. And you picked it anyway. I didn't know when I chose it, Jun explained. I thought it was the safest option. Great, Sungho muttered. We're hunting a killer bunny with sticks and string. Heyun was thinking. If it's such a deadly predator, why would it leave such obvious tracks? That doesn't make sense. Unless, Ta began, then stopped. His eyes lit up with excitement. Unless it's hunting us. They all froze, looking around with new fear. The forest suddenly seemed darker, more threatening. We need a plan, Jun said. We can't just wander around waiting to be attacked. They found a small clearing and sat in a circle, weapons pointed outward. Jun tried to think clearly. What would his ancestors have done in this situation? How did the first humans survive against creatures that were faster and stronger? I've been studying ancient hunting techniques for years, Jun said slowly. Our ancestors didn't rely on strength alone. They used their minds. How does that help us now? Sung Ho asked. His hand still shook slightly from the alien drink. They used teamwork, Jun continued. They used the environment. They set traps. They were patient. He-Yun nodded. Persistence hunting. Humans couldn't outrun prey, but they could outlast them. Keep following until the animal was exhausted. And they understood animal behavior, Tai added. They knew how to predict what their prey would do. Jun felt a spark of hope. Maybe they weren't completely helpless after all. The Vexillar is treating us like prey, he said. But we are not prey. We are hunters. Our ancestors hunted the deadliest creatures on Earth, saber-toothed tigers, cave bears, woolly mammoths. With better weapons than these, Sung Ho pointed out, holding up his simple spear. Yes, but with the same brains we have, Jun replied. We need to think like them. Use what we have. Jun grabbed a stick and drew in the dirt. Here's my plan. Instead of tracking the Vexillar, we make it come to us. We set a trap. He explained his idea. They would use branches, vines, and stones to create a simple trap. One person would act as bait, leading the Vexillar to the trap. The others would be waiting with bows and spears. It's risky, He-Yun said. Everything about this is risky, Jun replied. I like it, Ta said. It's exactly how our ancestors would have done it. Even Sung Ho nodded, better than just waiting to be eaten. They gathered materials and began building the trap. Jun showed them how to bend branches to create spring tension, how to make triggers that would release when stepped on. It was knowledge passed down through generations, knowledge that had once kept humans alive in a dangerous world. As they worked, Jun felt something strange. Pride. They were using skills that had nearly been forgotten. Skills that had once made humans the most successful predators on Earth. A sound came from the trees, a soft thumping noise, like something hopping. Then silence. It's coming, Jun whispered. Everyone, get ready. The hunt was about to enter a new phase. But this time, the humans were prepared. The trap was ready. Jun and Tai hid behind large blue trees, their bows ready. Sung Ho waited on a low branch above the trap, holding his spear. He-Yun had volunteered to be the bait. Just get it to chase you through here, Jun had told her, pointing to the narrow path they had created. When it steps on the trigger, the net will fall. He-Yun now stood at the edge of a small clearing, making noise and moving around. She was scared, but didn't show it. The soft thumping sound came again, closer this time. Come on, little killer bunny, He-Yun called softly. I'm right here. Something white moved between the trees. It was small and quick. It hopped into view for a second, then disappeared again. It did look like a rabbit, with long ears and white fur, but its eyes were wrong, large and red, with a look of cold intelligence. It's watching me, He-Yun whispered to herself. It knows this is a trap. The Vexillar made a strange chirping sound. Then, to everyone's surprise, it spoke. Humans, it said in a high, clear voice. Interesting. It has been long since we met your kind. He-Yun almost fell over in shock. You can talk. The Vexillar hopped closer but stayed away from the trap area. The Moktal give all hunting prey translation devices. For sport. It tilted its head. They did not tell you. They didn't tell us anything, Heiyun said bitterly. The Vexillar's nose twitched. They also did not tell you about the old human place, just over that hill. It pointed with one paw. What old human place? Heiyun asked, confused. A small camp, very old, with human things. Heiyun looked toward where June was hiding. She could just see his face through the leaves. He nodded slightly. This could be important. Show me, Heiyun said to the Vexillar. Truce, the creature asked. Truce, Heiyun agreed. We won't hunt you if you take us there. The Vexillar seemed to consider this. Follow. But all humans. No tricks. June, Tai, and Sung-Ho came out of hiding. The Vexillar tensed, but didn't run. It watched them with its red eyes. This way, it said, hopping toward a small hill. They followed carefully, keeping some distance. The Vexillar led them to the other side of the hill. There, in a small valley, was a clearing with strange metal objects. Some were half buried in the ground. Plants grew over everything, but it was clear these things were not natural. What is this place? Ta whispered, his historian's eyes wide with wonder. Heiyun knelt beside one of the metal objects. She brushed away dirt and plants. It was a container of some kind with writing on it. Human writing. These are from Earth, she said, surprised. But they look ancient. Tai examined another object. This looks like an old weapon, maybe thousands of years old. June found something that looked like a broken screen. When he touched it, it lit up weakly. Images flashed across it before it went dark again. I saw people, June said. Human people, wearing animal skins. The Vexillar watched them from a safe distance. The Moktal brought humans here long ago. For hunting. It made a sound like a small laugh. The humans hunted the Moktal instead. What? Heiyun looked up sharply. Ancient humans were great hunters, scary hunters. Made the Moktal run away. They never returned to Earth. Too dangerous. Sung-Ho laughed. You're saying our ancestors scared off the mighty Moktal. The Vexillar nodded its small head. Moktal still tell stories about human hunters, to scare young ones. Heiyun stood up, understanding coming to her. That's why they're testing us. They want to know if we're still dangerous like our ancestors were. Or if we've become soft, June added. If Earth is now safe to conquer. The Vexillar's ears twitched. Moktal coming. They track you. And indeed, they could hear heavy footsteps in the distance. Commander Grak and his warriors were getting closer. We need to hide this place, Jum said quickly. If they know we found it. Too late, the Vexillar said. They know. They watch everything. June looked at his team. Then we need a new plan. Fast. They had found the truth about humans and the Moktal. But what would they do with this knowledge before the aliens arrived? Hide, the Vexillar said urgently. I will help. Why would you help us? June asked, suspicious. The Vexillar's red eyes blinked. Moktal hunt my kind for sport. Enemy of my enemy is friend. They didn't have time to argue. The sound of the Moktal warriors was getting closer. The team quickly gathered some of the ancient human items and hid them in their clothes. Then they followed the Vexillar into a thick patch of blue bushes. Just as they disappeared from sight, Commander Grak and War Chief Dorn entered the clearing with 3 other warriors. They were here, Grak said, looking at the footprints in the dirt. But where did they go? And where is the Vexillar? War Chief Dorn looked around with his black eyes. Spread out. Find them. The Moktal warriors began searching the area. One came very close to the bushes where the humans were hiding. June held his breath. Beside him, Sung-Ho was shaking slightly. The Vexillar suddenly hopped out from the bushes on the opposite side of the clearing. Looking for me, it called to the Moktal. The warriors turned quickly, raising their weapons. There is the prey, one shouted. But where are the humans? The Vexillar led the Moktal away from the hiding spot, hopping just slowly enough to be chased, but quickly enough not to be caught. Now, June whispered when the aliens were far enough away. "Let's go." They crept out of the bushes and moved quietly in the opposite direction. But they didn't get far. War Chief Dorn was waiting for them. "Interesting," Dorn said, his forearms crossed over his chest. "You work with the prey instead of hunting it." June stepped forward, deciding it was time for the truth. "We know about the ancient humans who were here. We know why you're really testing us." Dorn was silent for a moment. Then his mouth curved into that now familiar smile. "So you found the old camp. Good. That was part of the test too." Yun pulled out one of the ancient items they had found, a small knife made of metal. "Your people were afraid of our ancestors. That's why you never came back to Earth." Dorn nodded slowly. "It is true. Thousands of years ago, we brought humans here to hunt. We thought they would be easy prey. We were wrong." "What happened?" Tai asked, his historian's curiosity burning. "The ancient humans were terrifying," Dorn said. His voice was different now, almost respectful. "They had no claws, no fangs, no armor. But they never stopped. They would follow for days, setting traps, studying weaknesses. They did not fight like warriors. They hunted like predators." "Persistence hunting," Jun said. "It's how our ancestors caught prey that was faster than them." "Yes," Dorn agreed. "Many Mukhtal died. The rest fled. We never returned to Earth. Instead, we tell stories to our children about the human hunters, the deadliest predators we ever faced." Grak and the other warriors returned, looking annoyed. "The Vexlar escaped," Grak reported. Then he saw the humans. "You found them." "They found something more important," Dorn said. "They found the truth." "So this whole thing was a test," Sung Ho said. "The drinking, the hunting. You wanted to see if we're still dangerous like our ancestors." "Yes," Dorn admitted. "We needed to know if humans still had the hunter spirit, or if you had become soft with your technology and cities." "And," June asked, "what have you decided?" Dorn looked at each of them carefully. "You failed to drink our warrior drink. But you showed intelligence by using the enzyme patch. You chose the deadliest prey by mistake, but when you learned the truth, you adapted. You made a trap using simple tools. You found the ancient camp. And you made an ally of the Vexlar instead of killing it." Dorn stepped closer to June. "So tell me, human, what would you do if the Mukhtal decided to attack Earth anyway?" It was the final test. June knew his answer would decide Earth's fate. June looked War Chief Dorn directly in his black eyes. The fate of Earth rested on his next words. He thought of his ancestors, of what they would have done. "If you attack Earth," June said calmly, "we would not just fight you. We would hunt you." There was silence. Even the strange forest seemed to hold its breath. "Our bodies may have grown weaker over time," June continued, "but our minds have become stronger. We build cities. We create technology. We solve problems our ancestors couldn't imagine." Yun stepped forward to stand beside June. "And we still remember how to hunt. It's in our blood, even if most of us have forgotten it." "You're not seeing us at our best," Tai added. "We're just 4 people who were playing at being hunters. But if Earth was threatened, millions would remember their true nature." Sung Ho, who had been quiet, spoke up. "I work with computers all day. I've never hunted anything in my life. But even I helped build that trap. Imagine what real soldiers could do." Dorn was silent for a long moment. Then he did something surprising. He knelt down on one knee. The other Mukhtal warriors looked shocked. "You speak truth," Dorn said. "And you speak it without fear, like true predators." He stood up again and turned to his warriors. "The humans have passed the final test." Grak looked confused. "But War Chief, they did not kill the Vexlar." "They did something better," Dorn replied. "They turned an enemy into an ally. They used their minds instead of just weapons." At that moment, The Vexlar hopped back into the clearing. It came to stand near the humans. A true hunter knows when to kill and when not to, Dorn said. The ancient humans were feared not just for their ability to kill, but for their ability to think. Heian smiled. So Earth is safe. More than safe, Dorn answered. The Moktal Empire will sign a treaty with Earth, not as conquerors or equals, but as students. Students? June asked, surprised. Your kind has evolved beyond the need for constant hunting while keeping the intelligence that made you dangerous. We want to learn this path. Tel grinned widely. Cultural exchange. That's what I was hoping for all along. They spent the next few hours talking with the Moktal. Plans were made for official contact with Earth's governments. The Moktal would come in peace, sharing technology and knowledge in exchange for learning about human culture and history. As the second sun began to set, turning the purple sky to deep blue, they prepared to return to the Moktal ship. What about the Vexlar? Heian asked, looking at their small ally. I will stay here, the creature said. This is my home, but perhaps fewer Moktal will hunt my kind now. Thank you for your help, Jun said to the Vexlar. We wouldn't have passed the test without you. The Vexlar's nose twitched. Humans are interesting, not like stories say. They said goodbye to the Vexlar and boarded the transport ship with the Moktal. The journey back to Earth was filled with conversation and even some laughter as both species began to learn about each other. 1 week later, Jun, Heian, Tai, and Sungho sat at a table in their favorite bar in New Seoul. Official first contact with the Moktal had gone well. The world was still adjusting to the news that aliens existed, but the treaty promised a peaceful relationship. To successful hunting, Jun said, raising his glass of tequila. And to making friends instead of killing things, Heian added with a smile. They clinked their glasses together and drank. Sungho immediately started coughing. Tae's face turned red. Jun felt his eyes water. I guess some things never change, Heian laughed, watching them. We once hunted the deadliest creatures on Earth. And now we can't even handle our own tequila shots. Jun finished with a grin. Outside the window, the stars shone brightly in the night sky. Somewhere up there, the Moktal were telling new stories about humans, not as terrifying predators, but as worthy allies who had found a better way. The end.